My name is Nismo Nick, and behind me is the 2026 Nissan Sentra, and this is one of the most important launches for Nissan right now. I'm going to tell you all of the cool things that Sentra brings for 2026, and I'm going to tell you why this car is important to the enthusiast. Stay tuned. For 2026, the Sentra is all new inside and out, but before I cover some of those details, I want to talk Sentra history. So I told you we're going to talk Sentra history, so I'm going to hit you with it. The Nissan Sentra was my first Nissan. I bought a brand new 2004 Sentra SER Spec V, the beloved Sentra from the mid-2000s. That car was hot when the tuner craze was hot in the early 2000s, and I was in the middle of it. What also makes some Sentra history pretty cool is Sentra has been in the US since 1982. This is, if not the longest nameplate for Nissan, and it's very important not only for the brand, but of the history. Now, if you're wondering what's under the hood of the 2026 Nissan Sentra, well, it's the carryover four-cylinder from last generation's model with 149 horsepower, and it is paired with a CVT transmission. So let's talk Sentra styling in the front. As you can see, it's got the LED crystal cubes flanked by some really interesting looking LED running lights. And this is the SR model. You can see that emblem proudly worn, and this very aggressive grille, which I think is pretty unique and really interesting. It really gives Sentra a distinct appearance in that front. So let's talk about the wheel. This is one of the most unique wheels I have seen on any Nissan. This is an optional 18-inch wheel on this SR premium trim, and I've got to tell you, when's the last time you saw a wheel design like this? In person, it's just so interesting, and it gives a very distinct appearance to Sentra. So coming down the side of Sentra, you have all new sheet metal with very crisp creases that give it a really nice aggressive look. You have an available 360 camera, you have keyless entry, and you have a new almost coupe-like roofline, which really gives it a unique look. But let's just talk about that right there. The back of the Nissan Sentra for 26 is probably one of my favorite rear end designs on a Nissan in a very long time, and I'm going to tell you why. I love the clear taillights on the new Sentra. They are LED, which is nothing new, and that's basically a light bar like everybody else is doing. However, where it differentiates with Nissan is that light bar doesn't connect, giving it a unique look. But I've got to tell you, smoked, clear LED taillights, oh, that's one of my favorite things on any car. But to see them factory available on the Sentra, so good. Another design element that I love about the rear is this very distinct rear diffuser. Now I know it's just a Sentra, downforce, blah, 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 but it just gives it a really aggressive look, and you can't not notice it when you're behind it. And on this SR trim, you have this awesome two-tone spoiler that almost gives like a little mini duckbill kind of look. Factory. I love it. One small detail about the gas door, there is no longer a release in the car for it, and it is capless. That is new for 2026. Now you guys might be thinking, why am I so excited about a Sentra? What makes this car so exciting? I'm going to tell you. So I'm excited about the Nissan Sentra because we need it. Nissan needs a high volume seller for many reasons to help the brand's future. But when a car sells really well and you make a lot of money off of it, guess what it does? It allows for brands to make other cool enthusiast cars. If they're selling volume cars, they're gonna have money to make cool other cars that people want, the enthusiast cars like Xterra, and maybe a hot version of this like a Nismo, or maybe even like an SER, I don't know. But if there was a manual version of this car available, you know you'd buy it, because I would buy it. Time to climb in and show you everything new. One of the touches that I love is that it says Sentra on the door panel. Like, it's prideful to be a Nissan Sentra. I mean, it's got over 40 years of history, and I just love that detail. And on the Sentra, you do have available Bose audio on certain trim levels as well. Now, Sentra does have an available sunroof, and this on the SR trim has this awesome lava red accent to the seats, and even is proud to be an SR right there. I just think it's a unique touch that you just don't see on cars at this price point. On the door panel, you have a really premium look. No more gloss black, so no more fingerprints, so that's nice. You do have, however, a nice little gloss black detail around those buttons, and there are your mirror controls. And then over here, you have your available heated steering wheel, you have your steering assist button for on and off, and then you also have your trunk popper button. Now, one thing I want to point out in the back seat is I am 6'3", and I am sitting where I would sit if I was driving. Now, I'm not touching. I do have room here, and I have plenty of headroom being 6'3", even with the optional sunroof. Now, I do have a USB-C here for charging as well. So living in the back of the Sentra as a tall person, it isn't that bad. Now, looking at the steering wheel of the all-new Sentra, you can see that if you have been in a Nissan lately, it is borrowed from the Aria and the Murano. It is the new style steering wheel that features that D-shaped design to give you more knee room, and on this steering wheel, it has buttons for the available ProPilot Assist, new for Sentra. Now, we've used this for years and years on our other cars, but having it in a Sentra at this price point allows the driver to relax on the highway, and the car has the adaptive cruise control. It will maintain the center lane for you, all while you kind of sit back and relax in the car. That is a crazy feature at this price point. Now, 360 camera is not new to Sentra. In fact, it was available on the last generation. However, it's never been this big and it's never been this clear. And as you can see, someone's walking by. And while we're talking about cameras, if you do hit the camera button located on the dash, you can change it to a parallel parking camera and a full screen wide angle of the front. One feature that I love of the new Sentra interior is the ambient lighting. Now, this is offered on our higher end models, but to have it in Sentra with 64 colors available, and check out the glow. It glows all over the dash, and it just gives a premium feel to Sentra, and I love it. Now, since we're talking about ambient lighting, let's talk about the preset names that Nissan has chosen. Delight, fine. Discovery, what color is a Discovery? Passion, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's red. And then we have Harmony, which would probably be green, but can anybody tell me what color Discovery and Delight is? Because I don't know. Another step up for Sentra inside on the screen is you have MyQ Garage capability, which is typically used on higher end cars, but you can now park your Sentra in your garage and sync it with MyQ. That's a big win at this price point. Now let's talk about the climate controls in Sentra. You can control them with the screen, and the screen has some really great feedback. It's instant. You can see where the air is going. You can put everything on and off. Now, down below, I am in an SR Premium model, so I do have the available haptic touch climate controls with your heated seats, dual climate control. This is fantastic because it gives you an audible sound, so you know you're actually doing something when you press these buttons. However, if you don't want to press that, you can come up here and you can press those. So here's a close-up of that haptic touch unit for your climate controls. Now, I want to see if you guys can hear this. So it gives an audible sound whenever you touch something for feedback, which allows you to know if you've actually touched something. And here's a close-up of the wireless charging pad. And as you can see, we have moved to USB-C exclusively in Sentra. No more USB. But if you want to kick it back to the 90s, 12-volt plug. Can we check out how big that screen is? There's a 12.3-inch screen in a Sentra. It's highly configurable. As you can see, what I call the home screen, you have your gear, you have how fast you're going, you have a tachometer, and then if we scroll through, we have our trip computer, we have our tire pressure readout, we have whatever we're listening to for music. Here we have our speed sign recognition. This is going to give us some information if our cruise control or ProPilot Assist is on, and this also shows you what features are on safety-wise. Scrolling to the right, you now have settings where you can configure all kinds of different things. One of my favorite things to configure is we're going to go under vehicle settings, we're going to go down to locking, and then with this walk away lock and approach unlock, you never have to reach for a key. You walk away and it locks, and when you walk up, it unlocks automatically if you have that intelligent key in your pocket. Now when it comes to the 2026 Nissan Sentra, the car is the star. This is one of the, if not the best offerings in its class. It has so many available technologically advanced features for a car at this price point. It is hard to beat. And if this sells well, it's going to give Nissan the money that they need to make the Enthusiast cars that you all want. Maybe even a throwback SER Spec V manual version, but I'd settle for a Nismo. The 2026 Nissan Sentra is available this December at your local dealership, so make sure you go on down and you go buy one. Maybe buy two. Maybe you have a family member that needs one. I don't know, but it's an awesome car. Go get it.